Hey guys, Schultzy Phillips here on that brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping today. Taking a go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale today. I know though today, new release-wise, the one big thing that releases today is X-Men Dark Phoenix. And with that one, I know there's a number of different, retail exclusives of that one. I believe Target has one that has an exclusive, different cover on that. And I believe it includes like a poster inside. And then I believe Walmart has one that has like some collectible cards inside. And then Best Buy has an exclusive steelbook of that one. Also though, at the end of this video is going to be a whole bunch of brand new DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K reviews. Some things I received to review and talk about for you guys. Some really cool stuff, so definitely stay tuned for those at the end of this video. And as usual too, let me know, what you guys thought of those ones, if you guys have seen any of them, also if you guys plan on picking any of them up. But anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. But over here though in the front of the store, the only new thing that I see here is X-Men Dark Phoenix, and the 4K one of that is $29.99, and then the Blu-ray is $22.99 for that one here, and then the DVD is $19.99. I don't see any of the exclusives, so I have to check over in the actual section to see if they have any of their exclusive ones. Because like I said, I believe their one has like a different cover on that one and includes a poster in that, but we'll head over there now and see if they have it. But over there in the actual section though, they did have the exclusive of Dark Phoenix, and it's $32.99 for that one. And like I was saying, it has an exclusive, alternate cover on that one, and also includes the mini poster inside. And though those wondering though, it's just a slipcover, so you take the slipcover off and underneath is a standard edition, a regular 4K, artwork on that one. But it's definitely a cool, different slipcover. Also, other than that though, they had a movie there called Wild Rose, which I don't know anything about that one. If you guys have seen that one, let me know, how that one was. Other than that, the only other thing I saw was this like exclusive like JoJo Siwa movie. I'm pretty sure like that was like the only other thing that I believe was out today that I saw in there different today. Into Walmart we go. But in here today though, exclusive wise, like I was saying, their exclusive is $32.96, and it's for the 4K one, and it has in here limited edition 6 collectible cards exclusively drawn by comic book artists on that one. Like I said, that one's $32.96. The standard 4K is $29.96, and then the Blu-ray is $22.96, and the DVD is $19.96 for that one. Other than that in here though today, this one Kung Fu League released, and that one's $14.96 for the Blu-ray, and then $12.96 for the DVD. And then also Dead Water, that one released today, and that's $14.96 for the Blu-ray, and then $12.96 for the DVD, as well as Supernatural, the complete 14th season. That one's $34.96. And this one here, that's like a country music film here thing from PBS, is $44.96, and includes as a Walmart bonus 3 postcards in this one. Also though, I see one thing here, and this one's $9.96, this movie called The Night Sitter. I remember this one looked kind of interesting. I might get this one here today. I might get that one. Let's see, this other one released here, the Mummy Returns, and that one, oh no, Mummy Rebirth. That one's on $9.96 here as well. Also this movie here, which I don't know anything about. If you guys have seen this one, let me know if this is any good. This movie called Alien Invasion, and this one is $12.96. And this one here, which is from Wild Eye and ITN Distribution. I talked about this one last week. This one here, Dead Don't Die in Dallas. That one's $9.96. Also, they have that Wild Rose here as well for $14.96. Like I said, if you guys have seen this one, let me know if this one is worth checking out. Also, though, they have Bottom of the Ninth here. That one's $12.96 for that one, as well as this movie here with Diane Kruger here called The Operative. I don't know anything about this. If you guys have seen this one too, let me know how this one was. But that seems to be all the major new things in here I can tell. I don't see anything else over here different, like 4K wise here. Yeah, but in there though, I ended up getting that Night Sitter one. Like I said, this one was $9.96 in there. Looks kind of interesting. I've never seen the cover for this one online. Another one, if you guys have seen this one, let me know what you guys thought of this one. Into the Valley Thrift Store we go. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in here, like maybe over a month or so. It's definitely been quite a bit, so I haven't, looked at the DVDs and Blu-rays in here in a while, so hopefully they have in some new things. I do see a bunch of stuff on the bottom. That's always a good sign. When you see a lot of stuff, usually means there's more things to look at. But yeah, like I said, we're going to go through all this and see, what we can find in here today. Yeah, but like I was saying though, they definitely did have a whole bunch more stuff in there than normal. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff down on the bottom area, and I was going through all the things, but nothing really in there too different today. It was like not really many horror titles or anything, and everything was like, for the most part, really like super common stuff. Like I said, that's one of those places I like to check like every month or so, because sometimes you do find some interesting out of print stuff in there, but this time really didn't see anything that different though. There's like a cop helicopter up there, like flying around, like saying like something about like a suspect or something. I've never seen that in my life. Like he's like talking about suspects. And this past weekend, the only movie that I saw in theaters was Hustlers, which stars Constance Wu, you know, from Crazy Rich Asians, and Fresh Off the Boat, and Jennifer Lopez. And Constance Wu's character starts working at this strip club, and she's kind of just starting out there. And Jennifer Lopez's character is someone who has been working there for a while and kind of is the like top paid person there, has all of the, you know, high paying, you know, Wall Street clients that, you know, that come to her and everything. And it's basically about, you know, Jennifer Lopez's character taking Constance Wu's character under her wing and kind of teaching her tricks and everything and helping her kind of start to make more money there. But then it like, this is where the movie really starts, is there's a big crash in 2008. And then, you know, because of that, the Wall Street guys don't have the money anymore, and both of them go their own directions. And it's them coming back together after a number of years in very different places in their lives and don't have the money that they used to, and then working together to try and figure out how to get money again by using the old clients from years back, the Wall Street guys, and kind of taking them for money. That's essentially what it was, you know, what the movie is. I thought the movie was all right. I didn't like absolutely love the film, but I thought though Jennifer Lopez, though, performance-wise, though, was really, really good in the movie. She definitely did a really good job in the movie, though. If you guys saw the film, though, let me know, you know, what you guys thought of that one, or what movies you guys saw this past weekend, if you guys got to see anything. Into Best Buy we go. And in here, though, on the front, I see one more of the Steelbooks left here. And this is the limited edition one. And here's a look, though, inside of this one. And this Steelbook here is $34.99 for this one, and it is a 4K Ultra HD edition. And the standard 4K here is $29.99, then $22.99 for the Blu-ray, and then $19.99 for the DVD. I think this might have come out today, too. Hawaiian 5.0, the 9th season here for $37.99. And Supergirl, that release. I'm going to be talking about this one at the end of this video. That one's $29.99 for the Blu-ray of that. Also want to mention too, I will be talking about X-Men at the end of this video as well in the review portion. Other than that, over here though, we'll see if there's anything else. Like I was saying, I don't think there was too many other big releases as I was seeing in the other stores as well. They do have, oh yeah, this is one of the things that did come out today for $19.99. This is the first place I've seen this. The 20th anniversary edition of Galaxy Quest. It's a Steelbook edition here. Really cool image on this one. I believe this is all the same features from the last release, but it's just in this new Steelbook. And that one's $19.99 for that. They also have that country documentary that I was showed, this one in Walmart. This one's $64.99 here, but they actually now have all of these Steelbooks that they didn't have last week. These were all out last week. The one here for Brave, these are all 4Ks, and they're all $34.99 for Brave here. The Good Dinosaur, Inside Out, Cars, and Cars 2 and Cars, Finding Dory, and then Finding Nemo. And they still have one of the Aladdin ones left as well. And they actually have a bunch of the original Aladdin Steelbooks as well here. But yeah, the one that I'm waiting for them to release on 4K, which is like my favorite Pixar movie, is WALL-E. Hopefully at some point that one gets a 4K release. Always really loved that movie, but we'll check this section as well to see what else they have. And over here, though, they actually have a standee here as well for X-Men Dark Phoenix. I don't see any of the Steelbooks for there, but yeah, luckily enough they had one in the front, but actually it looks like there is one more over here, actually a couple more over here of the 4K Steelbook. Like I said, that one is $34.99 here. Other than that, here over in the section, this was out last week and I didn't see this on the shelf. This collection here with Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. And I believe they're going to be releasing these on 4K separately as well down the line. I think it's like a couple months. They're going to have like separate releases as well for those ones. But I really like those movies, especially you know, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. World's End I thought was okay, but Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are like my favorite of the three ones in there. Other than that here, I'm trying to see, is anything else different? Doesn't seem like anything else new here that I can tell. Like over here, yeah, this seems to be all the same stuff from the past couple weeks though. So anyway, guys, that's all for my DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also, leave me comments below and let me know, what you guys picked up on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K. If you guys picked up anything today, and as always, too, let me know what you guys thought of the DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed at the end of this video. But anyway, guys, now stay tuned for the brand new reviews. And the first one I got here is from Arrow Video. It's the brand new limited edition, a collector's edition here of Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes Part 2 here in this really cool edition. I'm going to show you guys, though, what's inside of this one. But this movie here, though, I always thought this was actually a pretty cool sequel. It's not perfect, though. The first, original Hills Have Eyes movie was such a creepy, atmospheric film. I even liked, the remake and the sequel as well. I actually thought the remake was a really well done remake. But like I said, the original movie was a really, really creepy movie. A lot of it was filmed at night, and it just had a real creepy vibe. More of this one was during the day, for the most part. Like some of the killings and stuff like that were the day, so it was a little bit different. But this is basically, though, about a group of these people who are going, trying out this fuel for their motocross bikes. It's like a motocross team going through the desert, and essentially, though, they go out there and, they're getting hunted and killed by, the character Pluto, played by Michael Berryman, and the family that are out there, hiding out into the hills, out there, in the desert hills, in the mountains and everything. It's essentially them out there trying to survive and everything. And this movie has, a lot of flashbacks to the first movie. Even a dog has a flashback in this movie as well. But I actually, like I said, I really did think this was a fun movie. It's very different, the vibe of it to the original one. And this one was made too. Wes Craven did this one right before Nightmare on Elm Street released. But on here, though, it has a brand new 2K restoration from the original film elements. Transfer-wise, though, this one has a great transfer on this one. Also has a brand new commentary track on here with The Hysteria Continues. And they done a lot of commentaries on, cult films and horror films and everything. I always like their commentary tracks. Also has on here, though, a making-of documentary, which has interviews on here with the producer, has Michael Berryman getting interviewed, the composer on this one, the production manager and first assistant director, has a still gallery, a theatrical trailer, and inside of here, though, I'll show you guys, it also includes a poster for the movie, which is the original poster artwork on the one side, as well as the brand new artwork. This is the original poster artwork here, which I love the image on this one, as well as the brand new artwork for the new Arrow release on here. So I really like both of these posters. Like I said, though, I feel like this is just a really fun movie. It's like I said, very different from the original, but still pretty cool, though. And I've watched it a lot throughout the years. And the characters are on this bus, too, some of the ones that are coming along with them. And there's more to this story, too, that goes along with one of the characters and stuff. But it's it has more of this, since it was filmed in the 80s, I think it was filmed in, 84 or 83, it has more of, an 80s vibe to it. And then also in here, though, it has postcards as well, some lobby card postcards, here it says Hills Have Eyes Part 2, the cast photo here, one of the cannibals that lives out into the woods, out in the desert. And then, like I said, just a bunch of different lobby cards in here. So definitely a really, really cool release. And if you guys have not seen this one, I would definitely say it's worth checking out. And Arrow did a really great job putting all these different features on this one, as well as the poster and the lobby cards in this release. The next one here is from Shout Factory Scream Factory line. This is one I had never seen before. I remember seeing the DVD of this one, and I believe this one was out of print for a while. And, it's finally got a Blu-ray release. And this is one I was always interested in seeing, but it's a movie here called Fear No Evil, and this is basically, though, about I would say, though, it's one of these movies that almost feels like it's two movies in one, in this weird way, because it's the scenes in the high school with the kids and stuff like that kind of feel like a movie almost like Porky, some of it. It has that kind of a vibe, like these goofy, over-the-top kind of stuff in some of the scenes. And then it kind of feels like a old, 70s kind of Carrie type movie. Like a Carrie kind of vibe mixed with The Exorcist, but more of a Carrie type feel. This is basically, though, about this kid who is basically the spawn of the devil, or he is the devil. and he's been raised by his parents, and his parents like really don't like him, and they're always arguing about him. And he's gotten older now. I think he's just turned 18. And he's going, and he's in high school, and he's kind of like picked on there, and kind of given a lot of grief, and like the kind of the cool popular kids are kind of giving him certain problems. And in the beginning of this movie, though, this priest ended up like killing somebody, and this priest is kind of like gets referenced a couple times in this movie about like what happened to this priest that you saw in the beginning of the movie kill this guy, and all this kind of stuff. And it's basically though just about this kid, and then kind of like he has like certain kind of, like I said, like kind of carry kind of like demonic powers, sort of. And like it's kind of like, what's going on with him at the school. And like I said, the best stuff was the school stuff. The other stuff was okay, but it really, like I said, it almost felt like some of the school stuff, and it wasn't though, but it almost felt like it was like reshot later or something and added into the movie to add more like comedy to the movie or something. But if you guys have seen the movie, let me know if you know what I'm talking about, how it kind of feels like it's like two totally different movies. And the stuff that's like the Carrie stuff kind of feels like a TV movie a little bit. It's like hard to explain it, but it also has like stuff too that deals with like zombies as well. So it has all kind of stuff because it's kind of leading into what the kid who's like the devil, reincarnated. It's kind of leading into what he ends up doing. But on here though, it has a brand new 4K master, brand new transfer from the 4K master from the original film elements. A new interview on here with the main actor, as well as a special effects artist, as well as a commentary track on here with Stefan Arngrim as well, who's the star of the film, a theatrical trailer, TV spots, and a still gallery. And the next one here is from Shout Factory Scream Factory as well. It's a brand new collector's edition here of John Carpenter's Vampires. This is one of the John Carpenter films that I feel like you don't hear about as often. It's actually a really, really cool vampire film, and really love the brand new artwork on this one. Also has, reversible artwork for the original poster artwork for this film as well on this one. There was also a sequel to this movie as well, which I believe is the one with John, Bon Jovi in it. This one here is basically though about, it stars James Woods, and he's this vampire hunter who was trained ever since he was a kid to track down vampires. And you find out throughout this movie too why he was trained so young and everything. And he has this team that he works with where he's going around and tracking down and killing vampires. And in this movie though, early on, his whole team ends up getting wiped out by, except for one of the characters played by Daniel Baldwin, and they end up getting wiped out by this masterful vampire who's kind of like the king of vampires, and he's trying to find something so he can end up walking the earth during the day. And it's basically though about James Woods' character working with Daniel Baldwin, as well as this one girl who was kidnapped by this evil vampire and turned to a vampire, and they're trying to, along with her, kind of track down, and because she has a connection to him, and figure out exactly where he is so they can hunt and, put an end to him. It's actually a really, really cool movie, and like I said, it's one of the John Carpenter ones you don't hear about as often. On here, though, it has brand new interviews on here with, director and composer John Carpenter, as well as the cinematographer on this one, James Woods, is on here. It has a interview on here with special effects makeup artist Greg Nicotero. Also has an archival commentary on here with John Carpenter, as well as an isolated score, making a featurette, as well as a theatrical trailer on this one. The next one here is from Lionsgate. This is the 4K Ultra HD edition here of the film starring, directed by Luc Besson, and this is, Anna here, which I actually really like this movie. This is one of those movies I miss seeing this one in theaters, and it kind of has the vibe a little bit of like, I guess you'd say like Atomic Blonde mixed with Red Sparrow. It has that vibe a little bit to this one, but it's basically about this girl who's played by Sasha Luss, who I think this is one of her first movies or first leading roles, and she did a really, really good job in this movie. But it's basically though, it's one of those movies where you kind of like think you know what's going on, and then they flash back to a different perspective, and you're like, oh, so that's what was going on here. And so there's a lot of that in this movie where it's like they kind of show you, one way, and then you find out something else totally different, which kind of flips what you saw on its head. I'm not going to spoil any of it, but I'm just going to say it's got a lot of that in this movie. But it's basically, though, about her character who, is in Russia, and she gets kind of brought in by this guy who's, like, looking for models, and he goes to Russia, and he spots her there. And he's like, oh, I have this modeling agency, and I would fly you out to, I think it was to Paris, and have you be with my group, and, we'll put you up in this apartment, and you're a model for us, and you make all kinds of money and everything. And so she ends up going there, and then you know, she ends up going there to do this, and it's kind of about her life in the modeling industry. And then all of a sudden, though, something happens, and you kind of come to find out that there's much more to the whole story here, and about her reasonings for going there, and there's a whole lot behind it. I really don't want to spoil anything, because like going to this one, I did not know much about it at all. Cillian Murphy is in this movie, as well as Helen Mirren and Luke Evans, but Luke Evans' character, like I said, I don't really want to say too much about what the characters do without like spoiling anything in this movie. But you know, it was cool too, was the composer of this movie came back to work with you know, Luc Besson again, because you know, he did the music in like Leon the Professor with him, because Luc Besson directed like Leon the Professor, as well as The Fifth Element. I think that Professor and Fifth Element are my favorite of his movies. But you know, he came back and did the music in this one, because he hadn't done the music in the last couple of his films. But I really like this movie. This is like I said, it has a lot of twists in this movie, and like a lot of stuff that are totally unexpected. Has on here though a bunch of different featurettes here on the making of the film, like Anatomy of a Scene, the restaurant fight, as well as like I said, the making of the film, constructing the car chase, the costumes of the film as well. 4K wise though, this one looks great on 4K. Really great picture quality. And like I say with 4K, the big thing that I always notice is the HDR, which is the high dynamic range, which is the contrast levels, which means it has much more contrast levels to the darkness and all that kind of stuff, as well as it's a much brighter picture all around. But you know, having only seen this one for the first time on 4K, I thought this one looked great. If you guys have seen this movie though, let me know what you guys thought of it. The next one here, this one gets a top recommendation. I totally knew nothing about this movie, and then when I first heard about this, that I was going to review this, I checked out the trailer and thought the trailer looked really cool, and then I watched it and was like, wow, this is a really cool movie. And it's called The Black String, which stars Frankie Muniz, and I'll say too, Frankie Muniz did an amazing job in this movie. I've always been a fan of Frankie Muniz ever since, you know, Malcolm in the Middle, and of course Big Fat Liar, which is a movie that I always liked. We're pretty much exactly the same age, so I've kind of watched like everything that he's done, and especially, you know, starting with, I think like My Dog Skip was one of the first things I remember seeing him in, I believe. But I think he was might have been in a couple things before that. But normally he does kind of comedy kind of roles and stuff like that. This one, it actually is him playing a really serious role with a lot of like you know, dramatic aspects to it, and he did a really good job. I feel like from this movie he's going to get a lot more work doing these kind of more of a dramatic kind of role, and there still is some comedy in here as well, but like he has to play a lot of these things super serious, and he did a really good job in this one. Like I said, I was really impressed with this one. But it's basically though about his character who works at this convenience store, and he has like his friend who works there with him, and he's kind of like the head manager there. And you find out too early on that Frankie Muniz's character, like something had happened in the past, and he kind of like, his parents don't really trust him too much because of something that happened with him, and he's kind of trying to get his life back together. But his friend, you know, is like trying to help him figure out like what to do and everything. And the one night, Frankie Muniz's character, he's watching TV and he sees one of these ads on TV saying, you know, one of those like dating hotline kind of things, like call me up for a good time, that kind of thing. And he just reluctantly calls and like ends up meeting with this girl. And of course, though, he ends up sleeping with her, and the very next day, though, he wakes up and has this really strange, like, rash on his stomach, and it's like, he's like, well, how in the world would I get a rash like this really bad-looking rash, like, less than 24 hours later, just the very next morning? And it's basically, though, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and, you know, he starts, like, seeing weird things, and, like, he tries to figure out where this girl was, because he actually really did like this girl, but he tries to figure out where he picked her up the night before. He goes back there, and the people at the house are going, we don't know who she is, and they're acting really weird and like strange. And it's kind of about like one of those movies where it's like, is Frankie Muniz's character, because you found out something happened in the past, is he imagining all this? Is he kind of cracking up? Or is there really something going on with this girl that she was connected with these people that are at the house that are denying that they know who she is? It's kind of one of those things where you kind of have to figure it out, and it's kind of things around Frankie Muniz's character kind of falling apart more and more as it goes along. But like I said, was really impressed with this movie. 100%, 1000% worth checking out. Honestly, I really like this one. Has on here, though, a commentary track on here with the director, as well as the director and co-writer, as well as the producer on this one. Has a making of featurette. I think it was like 20 minutes featurette on here, as well as deleted scenes and alternate takes and a trailer gallery on this one. But like I said, definitely check this one out. If you guys see it too, let me know what you guys think of this. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well, and it's a movie called The Tracker, which stars Dolph Lundgren. And this is about Dolph Lundgren's character. And at the beginning of this movie, though, his wife and kids end up getting like kidnapped by the group of these people, and he's trying to figure out where they are and track them down and everything, and things go horribly wrong with like the switch over with kind of getting the money and kind of the whole thing that's going on, and like the family ends up getting killed, and they never really figured out exactly who was behind it. They never really were able to find the people, and I think it was like 10 years later or something like that. And he kind of is trying the best he can to move on, to kind of continue with his work and everything. And it's essentially, though, he comes to find out that in the one area that he comes to kind of work on a case, this one cop there kind of discovers there's more evidence that kind of make it look like they might have some sort of an idea about who it was that was actually involved in this whole thing and the whole thing that happened with the family. So it's basically about him, Dolph Lundgren's character, going to get revenge and to track down these people because he's finally starting to discover who they are. And it's kind of about like a sort of like a Taken kind of vibe about him going after them, and like a Rambo kind of feel about him going after these people to get like, you know, revenge on them. But it was actually a kind of an interesting movie here. Like I said, this one here is called The Tracker. And the next one here is from Lionsgate as well, and this one's directed by Ron Howard, and this is the film Pavarotti, which is a documentary on you know, Pavarotti, the amazing opera singer, you know, who's like probably one of the top, you know, best opera singers in the entire world. And this is, you know, and also the most known. And this is basically, though, all about his life. And it has in here scenes from his huge performances and the amazing concerts that he, you know, put on, as well as, you know, archival interviews with him, and archival footage that has never been, you know, never before seen before, interviews with people who knew him, and kind of just talking all about kind of the behind the scenes of his life, things that he was going through, and all that kind of stuff. But Ron Howard, though, did a really, really good job putting this one together here. If you guys are fans of, you know, Pavarotti, as well as documentaries, this is definitely one I recommend you guys check out. Has on here, though, some featurettes like, you know, Pavarotti the Entertainer, friends of Pavarotti talking about him, as well as Ron Howard talking about Pavarotti as well. And the next one I got here is from Fox, and this one is X-Men Dark Phoenix, and this is the Blu-ray digital copy edition of the film. I actually thought this was actually a pretty cool movie. I know, you know, review-wise, there's been some mixed opinions on this one. I will say, too, I'm really looking forward to seeing X-Men Dark Phoenix. It sounds like that one's coming out sometime next year. You know, the trailer for that one I thought looked really cool. The fact that it was like X-Men, you know, mixed with like a horror movie kind of vibe. And I don't know, I feel like that looked really cool. But this one, though, I honestly really did think this was a pretty cool movie. I've liked all the other X-Men films as well, though. But this one, though, is basically, though, about Sophie Turner's character, who ends up getting, you know, they're out in space and ends up getting, you know, because of something that happens up there, she gets turned into the Dark Phoenix character. And it's, she starts getting these powers and these different kinds of abilities from this, and kind of becomes like, you know, all powerful because of this. And it's essentially, though, it's kind of about her trying to control this and trying to keep things under control. But you know, all of a sudden, though, things start to get worse and worse, and you know something bad happens to one of the characters if you've seen the trailer, and you know, though, it becomes this whole big, absolute, massive nightmare that she's going through, and they're going to try and, you know, get her and figure out exactly what they're going to do. I honestly, like I said, thought this was a really cool movie. I don't know if there'll be any more movies after this one that connect in this universe anymore. I know, like I said, there's going to be the New Mutants, which is its own like spin-off film, which like I said, I really cannot wait to see that one. But this one has on here a whole lot of different features. It has deleted scenes in here with optional commentary track by the directors on this one, as was Rise of the Phoenix, the making of Dark Phoenix 5-part documentary on here, as well as a commentary track as well on this one. But like I said, if you guys have seen this movie, let me know what you guys thought of it. And the next one I got here is from Universal, and this is the 4K Ultra HD edition here of Yesterday, which is directed by Danny Boyle, who directed, you know, of course, Slumdog Millionaire, 28 Days Later, as well as, I think my favorite movie of his is the movie called Shallow Grave, which I absolutely love that movie. Then probably tied with 28 Days Later. And I also really like The Beach. And I know that movie always has mixed reviews, but for some reason, I've watched that movie so many times. I like the concept of that movie. I don't know, I just really love that movie. That movie needs a Blu-ray release someday. But this movie, though, is a really interesting concept here. It's basically, though, about this guy who is a musician, and he's kind of going around, going to coffee shops, not really having a whole lot of success, and he's kind of getting older, and he's kind of at the point where he's like, well, it's not happening for me. I'm not going to get any further, and he's just about to quit. And then that one day when he's about to quit, he ends up getting, like, there ends up being like this big power outage, and something happens to him in this power outage. But when he wakes up, he ends up basically certain things have been forgotten in the world, and one big thing that's been forgotten is the Beatles. No one in the world remembers the Beatles. No one knew they existed. No one knows a thing about them, but he remembers the Beatles, and he's like, well, he sort of sees that as this amazing opportunity where he knows all. He's trying to remember all the songs, though, figure out how to put them all to record them. But he realizes, these were huge hit songs, the biggest hit songs in the world, and, he's trying to be a hit. Well, he's going to start claiming these songs as his own. And it's basically about him going and doing that. And Lily James is in this movie playing his manager, who kind of helps him along early on. And when he starts getting popular, though, it's kind of what ends up happening with them. And because she's always kind of had a crush on him, and he kind of never noticed the whole thing. And it's kind of, there's that going on throughout this movie, as well as his character, too, has a big crisis of, like, is this right, what I'm doing? And it's kind of about, like, fame is coming to him, and it's a really interesting, like I said, a very, very interesting concept for this movie. I thought it was really well done. Has on here, though, alternate ending and deleted scenes. It also has Anna de Armas' character, who was cut from the film. Her scene is back in here. She was in, the Blade Runner, the newest Blade Runner film. And I always like that movie, Knock Knock. She was in. And lots of stuff. She's going to be in a new James Bond movie, and that movie called Knives Out, which is coming out. But she was actually cut from this film, and her thing is back on here, as well as on here, the featurette on here, Ed Sheeran from Stadium to Screen. I thought Ed Sheeran did a really good job acting in this movie, as well in this one, but a couple other features as well, like some behind the scenes stuff. But I actually really, really like this movie. This is one I would definitely recommend you guys check out. 4K wise too, looks great on 4K. Just one all around, though, just a really well put together film. And the next one I got here is from Warner Brothers. They sent out a free copy of this one to let you guys know that this one is available. This is DC, The Legends of Tomorrow, the complete 4th season here. This is a series, though, I've only seen a couple episodes here and there, but I really like this one. And I like the concept of the characters going, back in time. It's basically them, like this group of this team of the superheroes going back in time to kind of try and stop things from happening. But then, things go wrong, though, and they've kind of had, like, time loops and time warps, and, other things have gone really wrong because of the stuff that has happened. So they kind of have to go and, like, figure out how they're going to fix that stuff. But then it's kind of like once you fix something else, then something else goes wrong. So they kind of have all sorts of problems and stuff going on that are kind of like they just continuous. And then, like I said, going back in time to try to stop certain things from happening. And, like, certain bad guys are hiding out in certain areas. It's a really, really interesting concept show. It's like it has, like, the time travel stuff has, like, Bill and Ted kind of vibes to it, which I really like. On here, though, it has 2 all-new featurettes, DC Legends of Tomorrow Season 4 post-production theater, and DC Legends of Tomorrow legendary storytelling, as well as unaired scenes and a gag reel on this one. Also has in here, though, a episode guide here, which is, a thing that shows, all the episodes that are on the set here, and it's a 2-disc set. And the next one I got here is from Warner Brothers as well. They sent out a free copy of this one as well to let you guys know that this one was available. And this is the complete 4th season here of Supergirl on Blu-ray, and also includes the digital copy. The digital copy was in Legends of Tomorrow as well. This one, though, is another show. I've only watched a couple episodes of this one here and there, but it's another one that I actually really liked, and have liked the stuff that I've seen so far of the show throughout the years, throughout the past seasons. But this is basically, though, about, the character of Supergirl, who, is related to Superman. And it's basically, it's her cousin. And it's basically, though, about, in this season, though, it's kind of dealing with, they're trying to, like, outlaw aliens. And because of that, though, there is, like, problems with her character. And there's also, like, a lot of villains coming out of the woodwork because of that. So it's her trying to deal with, like, society, and they're worry of the outlaw that's going on for aliens, as well as her trying to stop these evil villains that are coming along. Like I said, I think this is a really, really fun show. Has on here, though, includes the epic 3-part DC superhero crossover event with Arrow and the Flash. That's one really cool thing that DC does, is having the episodes to connect together, like crossover episodes. This one has in there the 3-part episode of that, as well as some featurettes on here on the villains, featurettes talking about the crossover, as well as best of DC's TV Comic-Con panels from San Diego Comic-Con 2018, as well as deleted scenes and a gag reel. Also, this one has a episode guide as well, which also shows which features are on them as well. Like it says, like, for example, episode 13 has a deleted scene, so it kind of tells you all the stuff that is on the episode and the feature that connects with it. The next one here is from RLJ Entertainment. It's a movie which stars Nicolas Cage, and this movie was one I was really surprised with this. I really thought this was a well done film, and I really love this movie. Like, it was one of those movies, after it's over, there's certain movies where after you watch something you really, really think about it a lot, and this is one of those movies, and it's called A Score to Settle. This is about Nicolas Cage character who ended up in the beginning of this movie, when he was younger, he was like with this gang of these bad guys that he worked with, and the one guy ended up, his boss ended up killing somebody, and Nicolas Cage ended up taking the rap for it, and going to prison for this because of what his boss had done, and he ended up going away for 19 years, and when he gets out of prison, he comes and like no one's there to see him, but then he sees his son walking to him, on the road, and he's like, he hadn't seen his son since he was a kid, like I think he was like 5 years old or something like that the last time he saw his son. And it's basically, though, about him reconnecting with his son after all these years of not seeing him. And right in the very beginning, though, he's was in a taxi cab with his son. He's like, oh, we need to make a stop. And he ends up stopping and goes in this one backyard and starts digging and has this duffel bag full of all this money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars of money. And basically, though, he doesn't tell his son about it, but he's like, oh, well, we're going to go and live it up. And, I haven't seen you in so long. I was in prison all this time. We're going to stay in this fancy hotel. We're going to have all this fun together. We're going to reconnect and everything. And, essentially, though, but Nicolas Cage's character wants to get revenge, though, at the same time, but not really tell his son about all this, but he wants to get revenge on his boss, and he wants to track down his boss and find where he is. So it's kind of like they're staying at this hotel, and he's trying to track down the boss and figure out where he is and kind of find the other people that were part of this gang that he was with. But it's a very, very emotional movie, too. There's some super unexpected stuff that happens in this movie, but well acted all around. I always really like Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage plays this movie very subdued, but there are some, if you guys know Nicolas Cage moments, and there are some of them in here, a couple of different ones where it's like he goes full Nicolas Cage, which I always like when he goes really crazy, and I know he likes doing those kind of parts too, and there is moments of that in here as well, but it's a much more subdued performance though overall. But it has on here though some featurettes on the movie, like stuff on set things as well, but one I really would say is worth checking out. The next one here is from Epic Pictures, and this is from their Dread Presents line. It's a movie here called Arctic, and this is basically though about this like terrible serial killer guy who's like with his wife, and he has like these kids, and his one son though, who's kind of like his favorite son, who like he kind of like that doesn't like keep with the other kids. It kind of has like a people on the stairs kind of thing with the kids kind of going on, like sort of like that, not exactly though, but the one kid though ends up kind of going out at night and kind of wandering around and everything, and he ends up meeting this one guy who's like a recovering alcoholic, and recovering from drugs and things like that, and recovering from violence and all these different things he's kind of recovering from that had happened. So he goes to this kind of like support group, and he basically though finds out about this kid, and the kid's telling him about like showing them these pictures, these violent pictures that he draws, and this guy though who goes to these meetings about violence and alcohol and all these kind of things like kind of combined, and because he has a lot of problems that came along with the violence and everything, he kind of realizes that he wants to try and help this kid. And he wants to try and see if he can figure out how to help him because he knows something's going wrong in this kid's life. And it's kind of cuts to him, what the result of this is. And like I said, it's this crazy father is this crazy serial killer guy, and it's a really, really intense movie. It has some, it's like really, really like crazy gore and everything in this one, but has on here though, feature-wise, it has a commentary track with the director, behind the scenes, short films, theatrical trailers on this one as well. The next ones here are all from Movie Zing, and I'll have a link to the Movie Zing website, but it's 3 releases from them. But this one is a Lionsgate title as well, which is also an A24 film, one that I saw in Jamie Bell and Danielle McDonald, who was also in the movie Patty Cakes, which was a great movie. If you guys have never seen Patty Cakes, that's one that's definitely worth checking out. This is a movie here called Skin. This is about Jamie Bell's character, and this also stars Vera Farmiga. For me, I always say her name wrong, but you know, I think it's Vera Farmiga. I think I'm saying it right, but I'm always mixing it up, I think. But basically, though, Jamie Bell's character, and this is also based on a true story, he's like in this group of these like bad white supremacist group, and he has all these tattoos and everything that, you know, that connect to this group, and he, you know, is kind of like fell into this group because like his father is in it and his mother's in it, but it's kind of like he's noticing like the horrific violence that go along with it, and it's not really, he doesn't really want to be in this group anymore. And he ends up meeting Danielle McDonald's character at this rally thing, because her and her kids are there performing, and they don't want anything to do with this group. They're just kind of there to make money, to sing and stuff like that. And he ends up meeting her and starts to kind of like her, and from there, he kind of realizes that, you know, especially because he saw this one bit of terrible violence that happened, and he's starting to realize that this is not something he wants to be connected with. He wants to kind of, you know, move in with her and kind of start a life, and, you know, it's not easy for him to get out of this, because it's like dealing with the family and kind of the family coming after him and all this stuff. It is a really, really intense movie, a very sad movie too, like because of the violence and this horrific violence that are going on. But it's very, very well done, though. It has on here, though, some featurettes on the movie. It also has the short film. The director made a short film called Skin right before this one. But that's a really, really sad. The short film is really, really emotional, like really sad movie. But performance-wise, though, really great performance. This is also a burn-on-demand release, like a DVD-R for this one as well. And the next one here is from Movie Zing as well. This is also a Sony release. This is a Skate Town, USA. This is this kind of like the movie with Jeff Goldblum, where he ran this like a disco club. I think that was around the same time. It might have been like a year or two before this one, but this one stars, you know, it was actually Patrick Swayze's first movie. I believe it was his first movie, and he has a part in here as one of the dancers, as well as Marie McCormick is in this movie. A lot of character actors of the time pop up in this film, but you know, Marie McCormick, though, who of course played Martha Brady, and this is essentially, though, like I said, with like the Jeff Goldblum one, where it was like all takes place in one location in one night, all about finding about a group of people, about kind of like the go-ons at a location. This is the go-ons at this disco dancing, you know, skating club, and it's kind of about like a contest going on about the one bad guy at the club challenging the other guy to this contest and see who's like the best, and kind of all the wacky hijinks that are kind of going on at this club. And it has musical performances in here and music and stuff by like Earth, Wind and Fire, the Jacksons, Heat Wave, John Sebastian, Patrick Hernandez, but it's actually a really, really fun movie, a real total throwback to like the late 70s, around the time when disco was still really, really popular, and kind of, I don't know exactly when disco started to end. I think it was like 80, 81 maybe, I don't know for sure. I know like there was a certain time when it kind of started to really die out, and I think that was a little bit after this time, I'm pretty sure. And the next one here is from Movie Zing as well. This is also a Warner Archive title. This is a really fun film I had never seen before, called Action Jackson, which stars Carl Weathers. Vandy's in this film, as well as Thomas F. Wilson. You know, Thomas Wilson, who plays, you know, Biff. Of course, played Biff in Back to the Future, and lots of stuff. I always think of him as well, too, from Camp Nowhere. But he's in this movie. Craig T. Nelson from Poltergeist was in this movie. So lots of character actors and stuff as well pop up in this film. This is basically, though, about this of Carl Weathers playing a cop, and his character, like, he was like a really successful cop, but then something had happened that kind of ruined his reputation, and he's trying to kind of get back the reputation that he had once before, because he's kind of at the point of, like, sort of doing desk duty and not really getting to go out and on big cases or anything like that anymore. And there's like a case going on that deals with, like, certain people who are getting killed off, and it's kind of like he's trying to kind of get to the bottom of it and try and solve this, and he kind of feels like this could be the case that kind of gets him back and gets him back to be, you know, that has the reputation that he once did, and kind of like people will kind of forget about what had happened in the past and kind of remember this about him, like, solving these murders that are happening. And it's just actually a really, really fun movie here. Picture quality as well, you know, really great transfer in this one. The next one here is from Gravitas Ventures. It's a movie here called Camp Wedding. And this movie is like a comedy mixed with a horror vibe, and it's about a group of these friends who are all getting together for one of those destination weddings, and they're having a destination wedding at this old campground, kind of like almost like having a wedding at like the Sleepaway Camp campground, like from the movie Sleepaway Camp, where, you know, murders had happened there in the past, but like they had like a bad history, but they still want to have this, you know, wedding there. And it's kind of, it's not as much like full slasher, where it's kind of like wacky hijinks going on about the friends trying to put together this wedding, you know, before all, like, it's kind of like a small group in the beginning, kind of waiting until like all the friends kind of get there. They kind of have to set things up, put things together, get the rooms ready, and kind of like put up the streamers and all that kind of, they basically just put all the stuff to kind of get things ready. But when they're out there, though, somebody is kind of lurking around, and it's kind of like, you know, it's sort of like people start to kind of die, or it like seems as if they do, and it's kind of them there trying to figure out exactly, you know, what's going on and how to, like, you know, make sure the wedding can still happen while there's like something odd going on there as well. But like, it's actually, like I said, it's a fun comedy mixed with a horror film here. And the next ones here are from CBS Paramount. These are ones I want you guys know were available. This is the miniseries film from 1978. And this is called Holocaust, which stars James Wood, Meryl Streep, Michael Morante. This is very, very emotional, very sad, you know, film here. And it's basically following around this family. It's during the time of the Holocaust, and it follows around the different groups, and it's like with the concentration camps and all that. And it's kind of all about the terrible go-ons that were going on, the horrible things that people are going through. And it's like, it's one of those things that's a very, very hard watch. The same with, you know, Schindler's List, which is just very, very just sad. But, you know, well acted, amazing performances in here, but just very, very sad. I don't know if this one had ever been released before on DVD in the past. I'm not 100% sure on that. I feel like maybe, I don't know for sure though if it had. And this one in total though, the movie is 7 hours and 36 minutes, and it's a 2-disc set here. Like I said, just want you guys know that this one was available from Paramount. This one is from Paramount as well. And this is the show that stars Tia Leone. And this is Madam Secretary Season 5. And I believe I may have reviewed one of the past seasons of this one. I've only ever seen a few episodes of this. And this is basically, though, about Tia Leone's character, who is the Secretary of the State. And it's kind of about all the kind of stuff that she does in her position, trying to kind of think how to kind of solve certain things that are going on, and like different kind of ways, as opposed to like the normal way you would go and solve a really big problem, or the way normally people would do it. She tries to think of different ways that might be more successful at it, and a different perspective on doing it. And it's an interesting show. It's like, if you guys like these kind of shows that are kind of political in nature, kind of vibe shows, I said one of the guys on this one was available, and it has on here though deleted scenes on select episodes. Also inside of here though, it has like episode descriptions guides as well, talking about what the episodes are in this season here. The next one here is from Unearthed Films, and this is from their Unearthed Classics line. It's a movie here called Night Wish. This is one I had never seen before, and the main star of this one was from the film Just One of the Guys. You know, I was thinking, like, I think this was filmed like a couple years after that one, but he was in this film, you know, as well as who else was Brian Thompson, who was in, Cobra, was in this movie. And the one actress in here was from Friday the 13th on The New Blood. This is basically, though, it starts off like it's kind of like it's going to be like a Altered States kind of thing, vibe about like in those deprivation tanks kind of things. But it's about like this doctor who is doing like these studies on his students about like sleep and dreams and all that kind of stuff, and like ghosts and all these kind of things. And he has his students, he wants to have them come out to this cabin out in the middle of the woods, and Brian Thompson's character drives a group of the students out there, and it's like a weird place. They go there and they have to go through this gate, and then from where the gate is, it's another like hour to get there. It's real far out in the total middle of nowhere, and they get to this place, and the doctor starts doing these kind of weird, the professor starts doing these weird kind of experiments, and like with all these cameras and everything, and you see this kind of like ectoplasm thing showing, and like the doors are slamming. And basically, though, he was kind of planning on trying to trick them with this thing to see how they react, but then all of a sudden something really weird is happening in there, like a weird like entity. And this professor guy is like kind of cracked up, and he like it's just basically him cracking up and kind of like what he does to the students that are there, and kind of like traps them there. It was actually a really interesting movie. I thought it was actually pretty cool. And in here, though, it has a booklet as well, which has some some pictures from the movie and some stills and that kind of stuff in this one. But actually, like I said, a pretty cool movie, and actually really cool music as well. Also has a really great transfer on this one, because it has a brand new restored in 4K transfer. Has a commentary track on here, though, with the executive producer, as well as one of the I think it's the executive producer and one of the cast members on this one, as well as the photo gallery, trailers, and like I said, a booklet as well on this one. The next one here is from Olive Films, and this is from their Olive Signature line. This is the movie Bucket of Blood, which is directed by Roger Corman and stars Dick Miller. The movie was from 1958. I always liked this movie, and it's like a real like beatnik kind of movie, because like it all takes place in this beatnik club, and Dick Miller's character is kind of the guy who cleans up there, and he kind of like at the beatnik club they kind of do those like in the shadow I walk, yes, I see the great trees amongst the forest, yes, beatniks, that kind of stuff. And they also have like artwork up and like statues and stuff, and he really wants to be an artist, his character, and he had dreams of kind of being an artist so he can kind of fit in with the popular people that are there. And what ends up happening, though, is one day this cat is in the wall making this noise, and he accidentally kills the cat, and he ends up like putting clay around the cat, and then he takes this cat statue that he made where he just puts clay around the dead cat to the beatnik club, and it becomes like a hit, and they go, what's going to be your next thing? We didn't know you had all this talent. So he goes there, and of course it ends up turning into humans, or the next statue, and they're humans, and how he's getting them and everything. It's actually a really, really good movie. Has on here, though, a brand new 4K scan in here. It has a Creation is an Evil is Not, Roger Corman on Bucket of Blood, Dick Miller talking about the film, a commentary track on here with the director who directed the documentary on Dick Miller, that guy Dick Miller, as well as an archival interview on this one, Super 8 digest version, theatrical trailer, rare prologue from the German release. So lots and lots of features on this one. And I'll show you guys, here's a look inside. And also has a booklet which has, some stills from the movie. But this is a really cool movie. I've always really liked this one. This cool image on this one as well. But if you guys have not seen this one, this is definitely worth checking out, and a really great brand new release for this. The next one's here. I have a whole bunch of releases to let you guys know are available from Wild Eye Releasing. I think it's a bunch of different ones. The first one here is a movie called Triggered. And this one is probably my favorite of the bunch. It's like an interesting idea, and kind of has like a vibe a little bit to like a movie like Jawbreaker, a little bit, and Heathers. It's kind of like that kind of feel to this. And it's about this girl who is like always kind of like offended by everything, and like, oh, well, you shouldn't be wearing that, and that's not right for you to wear this. And she just kind of gets offended by everything. And, it's her and her friend, and she's not really popular at school, and she's always kind of like having problems with everybody, and like, all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of problems with everything. And basically what ends up happening, though, is she gets in a fight in the bathroom with this one girl, and then the one girl ends up dying. and it has like the Jawbreaker feel to it, where they're kind of like trying to figure out exactly, her and her friend, what they're gonna do. And also in the background of this movie, though, there is a serial killer going around that's killing people, who's kind of been away for a while and now is back again. And because of this, they kind of get the idea, well, maybe we can make it look like, you know, the serial killer did this and they did this murder. There's a whole lot more to it, but if you guys like things like Jawbreaker and Heathers, that kind of vibe, this has that kind of feel to this one. It also has a commentary track on here, deleted scenes, alternate scenes, and a trailer on this one. The next one here is a movie here called Return of the Scarecrow. This is about like this you know, like the lore of the Scarecrow that kind of had killed people in the town, and it's kind of like the urban legend, essentially, and a group of these guys are kind of messing around with it, trying to scare somebody with, like, making it like the Scarecrow comes to life, and then, of course, by doing that, though, the, you know, the Scarecrow actually comes to life, you know, and then it's going around and killing people, so it's a crazy killer Scarecrow movie, and, you know, if you guys like, you know, like, throwback slasher films, that's basically what this one was. This one here is Todd Sheets' new film here called Clownado, which has, you know, Linnea Quigley's in here, Jodie Winecoop, Aline Dietz is in this movie, John O'Hara. And this is basically, though, about a group of these clowns, these evil, crazy killer clowns that get stuck in a tornado. And it's basically them going around and kind of killing people. And it's like just like one of those like super wacky, crazy, crazy films. Like cool effects as well in this one, like gore effects and that kind of stuff. But has on here, though, a commentary track, behind the scenes, you know, featurettes on this one as well. This one here is called, and this is a Blu-ray release from Wild Eye. This is called The Velocipastor. And this is basically, though, about this priest who ends up getting turned into, basically, something happens to him. He ends up getting the ability to turn into a dinosaur. And it's kind of like a, has like a kung fu throwback vibe to this one, and like an 80s kind of film about him going and like the bad guys and stuff come after him, and he turns into this, you know, this dinosaur preacher. And it's just a really one of those other super wacky films. And it has on here, though, a commentary track, gag reel, Texas Frightmare, cast and crew, Q&A, New York City Q&A. So lots of features on this one. This one here is called the Baylock Residence. And this one was about this girl who ends up moving into, what was this? I'm trying to remember. She moves into her family's house, and I think it was like, was it? She moves into her old family house because somebody died in there. I remember someone passed away, so she inherits the house, and she kind of comes to discover, though, that there's something like an entity spirit in the house, and it's basically her trying to figure out exactly what this spirit wants and what exactly had happened in this house that is kind of causing this to happen. This one has a making of featurette, alternate ending, music video on this one. This one here, like I said, these are all Wild Eye releasings. This is called the Boston Hostage here. This is basically, though, about a guy who is this hostage negotiator, but then he ends up finding himself like in a situation where he has to work for these bad guys, and they kind of are making him do what they say, and if he doesn't do it, it's like going to be a really bad situation, and that's kind of what this one was about. This one here, which James Zavala is in this movie, you know, from Donnie Darko, and, you know, playing, you know, Frank, and a bunch of different things. This one here is called From the Dead, and this was basically, though, about this girl who gets in a fight with her husband. Was it her husband, I believe? And he's like this real, like, abusive guy, and she ends up, you know, killing him in the fight, in this terrible fight that happens, and she kind of doesn't know what to do, and then she finds out from the one friend about like the ability to kind of bring him back from the dead with this ancient spell, and it's kind of like the result of that. And this one is like a comedy horror film, but it's kind of the result of bringing him back and kind of what happens. This one has like some real wacky kind of stuff in this. This one has deleted scenes for feature-wise, and this one is from Wild Eye as well, and it's a documentary here called Danger God. This is about stuntman Gary Kent, and it's a documentary on him, and he was one of the big inspirations for, you know, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt's character. And this is kind of like, you know, all about the films that he worked on, and he's like, you know, one of the most prolific stuntmen. It's kind of like interviewing the people that, you know, work with him, the directors, kind of all about the things that he you know, went through in his life and everything. If you guys are fans of documentary and kind of ones about behind the scenes and in stunts and that kind of stuff, this is definitely a very, very well done documentary here. And the next one here is from Bayview Entertainment. This one I just want you guys know was available, and it's a movie here called Game Gangsters Incorporated, which is directed by William X. Lee. He stars in this film as well. It's basically his character is in the mob, and it's kind of about like bad guys coming after him and him going after them and kind of trying to stop them. It's a really fun movie, but the thing that's really cool is I actually have a part in this movie. I filmed a part for this one a number of years back, so I finally got to see this movie. So I'm in here near the end of the movie, but it's just a really fun scene of me and the main star in this one who directed the movie as well, William X. Lee, and this like back and forth scene. I love the way he put it together. Like it really worked well. But if you guys are interested, like I said, one of you guys know that this one was available and it's called Gangsters Incorporated. You guys can get it on Amazon and all the major like online sites and everything. The last one here is one I just want you guys know is available, and this is a documentary here on Teddy Pendergrass, and it's called Teddy Pendergrass, If You Don't Know Me. And this one here is a documentary all about him. This has a theatrical trailer as well as 5 deleted scenes, including Ted live in U.S. TV Wake Up Every Day, dance sequence, interviews with Teddy, musicians, and his widow on this one. Like I said, this is one I just want you guys know, this documentary here, which is called Teddy Pendergrass, If You Don't Know Me. Anyway, though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.